Howdy everyone, my name's Evan and welcome to Drinkin' Horn Meadery. So what we've got here behind me is just a couple of fermenters, and what we do here is we make a little mead. And what mead is made from, just like beer is made from grain, wine is made from grapes, we take honey and ferment that into alcohol. Anywhere from pretty much 6% all the way up to nearly 20% alcohol content. All of our honey comes locally. It all comes right from Mountaintop Honey, just down the road from us right here. My wife and I got started making this company in February 2017. We started making sales for this. It was shortly after our wedding. I had made a whole bunch of mead for our wedding and brought it out, and we had a couple of kegs from one of the breweries here, and nobody touched any of the beer, and everybody drank all the mead, and we're coming back the next day looking for some of that mead stuff. I was looking for a change in career, so it seemed like if everybody's going to be drinking this stuff that I'm making, might as well start selling it. When we got started, it was pretty much just me and my wife. I would rope my kids into helping me bottle and schlep buckets around and pick up honey and make batches and everything else. And at this point now, 4 years down the road, we've got 10 employees. We've got 2 locations. What we're in right now is our production facility, as you can see by the shiny metal tanks behind me. And then we also have our mead hall over in downtown now. That just opened up last year. Wasn't the best year to try to go for a little bit of expansion. But you roll with the punches, and I think everybody did that a whole lot last year. So even if you don't own a business, you know exactly what I'm talking about from 2020. But what you guys are here to hear about is sustainability. And I actually had a lot of fun doing some extra research into this. A bit of a spoiler alert, but I already knew mead was one of the most sustainable alcoholic beverages out there. And in doing some research for this video, those numbers just became astronomical. So the first thing that we're going to start with is the whole thing of the base of where our alcoholic product comes from. It comes from bees. We don't need any agriculture for it, which is pretty different from wine and beer, which both take agriculture. And as soon as you get into bigger agriculture, especially grain, it takes a whole lot of gasoline and diesel fuel to make grain. You have big equipment that has to run through the fields. You have all kinds of pesticides that you use in a lot of this stuff. So it makes it, there are a lot of equipment required. Same with grapes. A lot of equipment required for that, a lot of chemical use required to produce a whole bunch of grapes and such. Whereas with bees, we're kind of looking to use as few chemicals as possible. We don't require gigantic fields. You can put a beehive in a backyard and it can collect honey as long as there's enough in the way of pollinators and nectar producing flowers around you. And so it makes it a very, very small footprint kind of beverage. And I think one of the biggest things that we're going to be moving into in the future is water, of course, right? Water is a scarcity, and with an ever-changing climate and climate change, we're looking at it as a resource becoming more finite. And so I have some different numbers here for you. I'll try to keep you with me without any of my visuals. You need a whiteboard. But as far as producing it goes, beer, to make 1 liter of beer requires about 4 liters of water. To make 1 liter of wine requires 4.75 liters of water. Now when you get into hard alcohol, it gets real bad. To produce 1 liter of whiskey or vodka or something like that, you're looking at 34.55 liters of water to make 1 liter of whiskey or vodka or gin or whatever it is, any of the distills. For mead, just for production purposes, for 1 liter of mead, you're looking at 2 liters of water. Now those numbers don't incorporate anything upstream of it, so it doesn't incorporate any of the grain, the grapes, anything that goes into making those products. When you take another look at those numbers that I just said, as far as water production or water needed for just production of it, it doesn't seem that significant. But when you start looking into the bigger picture and taking in some of those upstream numbers from it, to make 1 liter of beer requires somewhere in the realm, I found different numbers in different places depending on how they calculate things, but for 1 liter of beer, you're looking at roughly 300 liters of water usage. And that's for watering the grain to get it to grow, and that's for processing the grain and washing it and cleaning it up, and then all the way into production and everything else. It takes a huge amount of water. Now, if you thought that was a bad number, wait till you hear wine. For 1 liter of wine, you're looking upwards of 800 needed to grow the grapes, wash the grapes, make the wine, All the rest of the process is cleaning the tanks. Those numbers include all of that stuff, water used for cleaning and all of that. Now, I don't have a super good number for the water on the bees, but like I said, they don't use a whole lot. We don't even, like the guy that we get our honey from, Mountaintop Honey down there, Dennis, he has 2 trucks that he uses for all of his honey making, which is a significant amount of honey. So you're not using a whole lot in the way of fuel. And then, like I said, as far as water goes, like you're basically using no water essentially, especially compared to grape and grain. You're using no water for the bees to be able to produce this honey. They get most of their liquid from dew and rain and streams and stuff like that, and so you're not having to pull water out of the ground to use in a place where it shouldn't be or anything like that. So just had to guess for those upstream numbers, including everything, you might be up to 3 or 4 liters of water required to make a liter of mead, as opposed to 300 liters for beer and upwards of 800 for wine. So that's a pretty significant amount of numbers there for those things, amount of numbers. Classic. And so it's just something to think about. If you want to drink sustainably, you want to be drinking mead. Definitely as far as water content goes. And then it's not just down to the product itself. Every business can strive and do things to help mitigate their own water usage, to mitigate their own consumption levels. And it also helps the business. Some people think that trying to be environmentally responsible does not coincide with trying to increase a bottom line of a company. And that's not true. You can definitely do both. I want to show you a quick example. This is a case of mead right here. It's got prickly pear is what's labeled on there. And if you notice, this is the bottom of the box, because we've reused this box 4 times already at least. It had a previous batch of prickly pear, some pomegranate, and some strawberry have all lived for a period in this box. So people reusing things, doing stuff like that helps the environment. Use a box 4 times instead of once, or 5 times. That definitely helps, and it helps the bottom line as well. So never be pushed into the corner that economics and trying to help the environment don't go together. Sometimes they mesh up perfectly. So hopefully I've brought in some questions into your mind about sustainability of products and stuff like that, and starting to think about bigger picture and upstream accountability as far as what you're making and what you're doing, and even down to things as simple as just how you run the business and how you use the products and the day-to-day stuff that you use. Making a change is up to all of us, and we all need to be doing our part. Thank you. Appreciate you.